My name is SlipperyHaze and I've been producing for over 10 years. I've gathered around 40 major placements, 76,000 followers combined across all socials, over 4 million views on YouTube. I've had multiple viral videos on TikTok and was also managed by one of London's biggest studio hubs, Signature Studios. This video is for new producers or producers that are already 5 to 10 years deep. Basically anyone that might need a bit of clarity or even just a bit of motivation. This isn't a how to blow up fast video. This is the stuff that people don't really explain and you just have to figure it out on your own. I'm gonna talk everything from placements, money, social networking, my journey as a producer, the reality of being a producer, and then just general things you might not know. So if I was to restart my music producer journey again today, here's what I wish I would understand sooner. Let's start at the beginning. I first started producing over 10 years ago and didn't really take it seriously until about 6 years ago, which 6 years ago was actually I lost my job and everybody was stuck at home. So I pretty much said, all right, it's now or never. And then I just continued to make beats for like 16 hours a day. One of the first things that I quickly realized was that making money as a music producer isn't so easy. So I quickly realized that I need to do more than just make beats. I turned on my camera and I started streaming on Twitch. Play the first clip that I can find of me on Twitch. Follow, put it in the Discord. I'm going to get to it in the next 5 minutes or something. So just be patient. Or if you really need me, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the time for me. Listen, everybody starts somewhere. Nobody just spawns in with the best equipment. I'm literally using a broken laptop, a laptop webcam, a laptop microphone, and some Beats headphones. I streamed like this until I could save up and buy better equipment. Advice piece number 1. Sometimes you have to spend money to earn money. Always keep reinvesting into yourself. So streaming quickly became my thing. I was doing like over 10-hour streams daily. Bearing in mind, I started with 0 viewers. And for the first while, I was averaging maybe 3 to 5 viewers. I just did it because I loved it. I'd say about 6 months later down the road, I ended up making a YouTube channel and decided to start posting producer tutorials. Unfortunately, I no longer have any of the original videos for my channel because I was using an unauthorized FL Studio license while making content, and ImageLine caught me and made me delete every single video that I had made. So advice number 2, if you're making content on FL Studio, please make sure you've got a legitimate license. Don't do what I did because I hurt my channel so bad. So I basically grinded out Twitch and grinded out YouTube. I was making 2 tutorials per week for a solid 4 to 5 years straight. And to be honest, I put a lot of my success as a music producer on these 2 platforms. Twitch and YouTube are the most insane networking tools in the world. You really have no idea who watches the content you put out. Here's some examples of what have happened to me along the way. One day I was just streaming on Twitch and all of a sudden UK legend JME appears into my Twitch chat. From that day, we just built an organic friendship. We've even got into the studio now together. I texted you earlier on saying we're gonna make the best song of all time.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
I said that when I'll go see that.
And we still speak to this day. And that is literally all thanks to Twitch. Another example comes from my YouTube tutorials. I got a DM from the UK heroes Chase and Status saying that they had seen some of my tutorials on YouTube and they thought that I was a sick producer. And now fast forward 4 or 5 years and Saul from Chase and Status has become such a good friend of mine and almost nearly like a mentor that I can talk to. Another funny example is I'll never forget when I got a DM from Quangface. He sent me a video of him in the room with one of his boys, and one of his boys was just watching my tutorial on YouTube, and then Quangface was like, yo, this is hard. Genuinely, there's been so many examples you wouldn't even believe it. So advice number 3, don't think about it too much, just post whatever you're gonna post because you genuinely don't know who is going to watch it. Even if it only gets 100 views, one of those people might be a very important person. Leading me kind of into my next point, producing isn't just about making beats anymore. Unfortunately, talent alone is not really enough unless you're in that anomaly 0.001% of producers, which bearing in mind someone that's watching this video could be. But I'm gonna say for the majority of you watching, it's unfortunately not enough. I've heard some of the most talented producers I've ever heard in my entire life through my Twitch streams that have like 0 placements, 0 recognition, no nothing, but they're better than 99% of producers I know because they don't put themselves out there. They just make beats and that's it. Most producers don't fail because of music quality. They fail because they're relying on one lane. There is so many different lanes that you can go as a producer. Here are a few lanes that I would suggest. You're a placement focused producer, which is probably the most popular and sought after lane. You're an engineer or studio producer. You're someone that works with smaller and growing artists, which kind of might be the new meta. You're an online or content first producer, which probably would be me. Or you could be the hybrid, which kind of was me at one stage, not so much right now, which basically just combines all of those lanes into one and you do everything. Now, like I said, these aren't the only lanes for producing. Everybody's journey is completely unique and completely different, but these are probably the most common and most realistic ones that you can kind of aim towards. Let me break down each lane. The placement focused producer is the guy that's just grinding out beats on the daily, probably uploading them to YouTube and probably uploading them to BeatStars, DMing artists for emails and sending out beat packs. Now listen, this 100% can work for for some people. I personally didn't find it effective on my journey. In saying that, I did land an actual placement off of YouTube type beats. Anyone that knows me will probably know the song Invalid by Ispot. That was originally a YouTube type beat. He literally just hit me up on Instagram, saw the beat online and he wanted it, but that's pretty much the only one out of maybe 200 or 300 beats on YouTube. Now listen, I would always suggest to post your beats out there. Get your beats out there. There's no point in your beats just sitting on a hard drive for nobody to hear. But personally, I would not rely on this to be your only method of making money. And then as for sending out beats to emails, I kind of find this as a pretty ineffective method also. Now, here is a note. There are exceptions. If you have good management who has real connects, this can be a viable method. Or if you already have a good relationship with an artist, you can for sure send them beats to their emails. They'll check them, they'll probably use them. Or if maybe it's a bit of a smaller artist, you can probably get through to their emails. But for every other situation, the chances are pretty slim. Realistically, if you think about it, an artist is going to go to a studio with an engineer and probably some producers as well. When the artist arrives at the studio, he's not going to be the one on the laptop loading up beats. The engineer will be the person. Or if there's producers in the room, they might send through beats to the engineer, or they could end up cooking up something from scratch. Now, I'm speaking from sessions that I've personally had while I've been over in London. My advice, if you want to send out beats, would, of course, you can take the chance and send them to the artist, but I would say nearly try find some engineers that are running sessions that are always looking for beat packs, because the engineers are the ones that are going to have the laptop to pull up beats, which helps lead into our next lane, which is the engineer slash studio producer. This is for the people that live in the cities and countries where there's opportunities to regularly connect with artists. For example, London, New York, LA, the big cities where stuff is popping. Being able to engineer is probably one of the best skill sets to have as a producer. What is an engineer? Engineer is the person that's going to record the artist and give them a bit of a studio mix on their vocals, and then maybe also getting creative with the actual track if they're putting in cuts, if they're putting in stutters, things like that. This is something that I've personally never done, but having this skill set enables you to be able to make the sessions with the artist. It also allows you to get invited to sessions if people need an engineer. Because more time or not, the big producers probably don't want to engineer a session. And if you get invited, then that means you can end up networking with every single person that's in that room, whether that's the producers that are already in there or the artist. And also, if you're an engineer, you can get paid by the hour, especially if the artist is signed with a label. This is something that you think you can do and have like the studio access and stuff, then I would 100% recommend it to anyone. It gets you in the door and it also definitely helps you network with people. The next lane would be working and growing with those smaller artists. This has always been an option for everyone, but I think this is so super relevant right now, especially with the rise of like underground music. SD Kid has Rate 9, Sinner has Capo, Slew has Outlaw. There's so many producer artist duos rising up right now, and I feel like this is such a good option to try and explore if possible. It's not about the money in this lane. The money will come with the success of you both. All right. Online content first producer, kind of myself. I personally think whatever lane you find yourself in, whatever journey you're on as a producer, you should just be making content. If you're making beats all day, like why not film it? Why not stream it? Why not make something from it? I genuinely just don't get the people that don't. Creating content opens so many doors of revenue for you. For example, for me as an online content first producer, I would get my YouTube ad revenue, Twitch subscriptions, ads, donations. I get sponsored brand deals for YouTube videos, which honestly can be a lot of money, sometimes more than an actual placement would cost. I can run a Patreon with all of my project files on there. I have a website where I sell all of my drum kits, sound kits, can gather email marketing on there, which this is actually my main source of income. Then I can also rely on my upfront advances or any leases that I sell from beats. Then I have my royalties that I can collect from any of these placements. These are the big ones. There might be a couple of other things, like if you grow yourself so big, you can start releasing merchandise and stuff. You can start releasing your own clothes. You have a proper brand and business model. I would genuinely say over the last 6 years, advances and royalties have probably been about 10% of my income, maybe even less, just to put that into perspective. So let's actually talk placements then. A placement is when your production is officially released as a song, whether that's a major artist, an indie artist, a label release, or even a commercially released project. Once that song is released, you're legally entitled to compensation through upfront advance and royalties, depending on the deal. Not every placement is equal, and that's something that nobody really explains. When you get a placement, you're entitled to an upfront advance. When I'm talking placements here, we're going to talk about like an exclusive. If you land a placement with like an independent artist who's pretty small, he's up and coming, the amount that you get as an advance is probably going to be pretty small. Whereas if you land a placement with an artist that's on a major label, these prices can range quite a lot as well. They can go anywhere from maybe 3k to 5k. Maybe like a really high level artist and label, they can be upwards to like 10, 20k, probably even more, to be honest. I don't know. Contracts become a lot more strict as well when there's a major label involved. Upfront advance prices can always change, but for royalties, 50% of any song song is for the producer or producers to claim. Well, it should be. Just make sure you're getting your contract signed. But the industry standard is 50% goes to the artist, 50% goes to the producers. So if you solo produce a track, you're entitled to your 50%. If there's another producer on it, then it can be split 25-25 or however you want to negotiate with the producer. Industry standard is also 3 points on the track. When people say points, which equals 3% of the master royalties. Points apply to the master recording, not publishing. To be honest, a lot of producers just don't even know what they're entitled to, so they don't ask, and that's how you get finessed. So important to register all your songs with a P or O. If you're from the UK, use P or S. If you're from the US, use ASCAP or BMI. When I first started out, I had no idea about royalties. I knew they existed, but I have no clue about them. I didn't know what I was entitled to, how to even get royalties, and I missed out on so much money that should have been mine. For example, in 2021, I had a song come out that got 5.5 million streams, and at the time, I didn't even realize that I was actually entitled to anything from that. I'm pretty sure I just got a very small advance for sample clearance. At that stage, I was just happy that I was receiving money for making music, and I didn't even question it. But I lost out on 25% of that 5.5 million streams. To be honest, it's actually happened to me for my first few placements. I never collected them. I never seen any money on the back end from any of my first few placements. I never registered them in times. Here's some things that people just don't tell producers. Comparison kills momentum, bro. This one here is what genuinely killed me. And honestly, I still struggle with this one to this day. I'm always comparing my views and my socials and stuff to all other producers. And it's honestly one of the worst things you can put yourself through mentally. It's something that this year, 2026, I'm trying to nip in the bud. And I'm not going to do it anymore. Everyone's in their own lane. You just need to lock in and focus on yourself. You need to cancel out the rest of the noise. Success comes from consistency. There's no point in going all in January. You're making 10 beats a day, and then come February you make a total of 3 beats. You barely even touch FL. You want to make a realistic schedule for yourself and stick to it. Don't overheat, but you just got to start off slow, and you need to get a routine. Once you find the routine, everything becomes second nature, and you really just need to stay in your routine, because once you lose it, it's so hard to get back into it. And I'm speaking from experience. I finally got back into routine, and I swear to God, I'm never losing it. Consistency may be a boring thing, but you just got to set goals. You got to track your progress, and you got to enjoy the journey. You should always look back on things that you've achieved and how far you've actually come, and just be proud of yourself, man. Skill and business knowledge in this industry is a real cheat code, and business knowledge is probably something I lack a little bit on the back end of like the marketing side of things, and which is actually something I'm trying to elevate in 2026. I'm trying to get better at that. I think everyone needs to know like the fundamentals of like a business model. You basically have to treat your producer name as like a business entity, and once you start doing that is when you start to kind of unlock more revenue. Accountability is honestly one of the biggest missing pieces for producers. When you're your own boss, nobody's telling you to show up. Nobody's checking if you actually made the beats today. Nobody cares if you fell off your routine, except you. It's way too easy to lie to yourself. You say you'll start tomorrow becomes next week, then it's next month. Having someone that checks in on you, helps set goals, and keeps you on track makes a massive difference. Not because they're more talented than you, but because they stop you from drifting. Over the years, I've had a lot of producers ask me questions privately, whether that's about mixing, placements, money, content, and just how to navigate all this without feeling so lost and under so much pressure. And honestly, that's why I've been thinking of trying to offer some sort of like mentorship. And not because I have everything figured out, but more so because I've already made a lot of mistakes that people are probably about to make. It's the same reason people hire personal trainers. You can't do it alone, but having someone guide you, support you, and hold you accountable, it just helps speed everything up. I'm not saying this is a how to get rich while being a producer guide. It will be very hands-on and personal, one-to-one sessions, monthly goal setting, mix and sound feedback, accountability check-ins, daily ongoing communications, exclusive sounds, mixes, presets, all of that. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to roll this out, but I just wanted to mention it because I know a lot of producers feel like they're stuck and just need a bit of direction. If this does sound like something that you would be interested in, please drop me a message on Instagram at SlipperyHaze_. At the end of the day, there's no right way to be a producer. These are just some things that I figured out over the years that if I was starting again, I would find beneficial to hear right now. Long-term mindsets win. So I really encourage everyone that's watching this video right now, pick your lane, pick your multiple lanes, stay consistent, please make content, and then just enjoy it. We get so worked up about some of the little things that sometimes we forget that we're doing this because we love music. I'd love to hear everyone's experiences in the comments, how long you've been producing, what's your story, and honestly, any other advice you have even for me, because I'm still taking advice every day, man. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. If there's any other questions about anything, please drop them in the comments, because someone else is probably thinking the same thing as you, and I'll try answer it to the best of my ability. I can try to do some more deep dives into more like production areas. Just let me know. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Love.